Hello, welcome to the Unit 2 lesson quiz over lessons 1 through 6, and this is a practice quiz here. And the first question is about the open topped box. So I made an open top box situation here that we can talk about. So we cut the corners out. It says that this side is 8 and this side is 10, and we cut the corners out and fold it up. So if we cut out X and X, we've cut out two X's, so this length here is no longer 8 long, it's 2 X's shorter. So we say this part right there that it gets folded on is 8 minus 2X. And then the same thing happens across here. This part where we fold the crease, it got shortened by X and X. So it got shortened by X and X. So it's going to be 10 minus 2X on the part that we fold. So if we're looking down here, the width of it is 8 and minus 2X. The flap that got folded up is X tall. And then the part here where it got creased is 10 minus 2X. So it was 10 inches long, and then we take out 2 X's. So 10. And then it's 8 this way, and then minus out 2x that way. So that's what it looks like three-dimensionally. So here we go. The formula would be volume is equal to length times width times height. And you can write these in different orders, but this I'm starting with x in the front so I don't lose it in the back here, and then I'm going to just go in order if that's 10 and this is 8. So that's kind of the standard way of writing that. So then we put 2 in for x. So we want to know v of 2. So v of 2 is putting 2 in for x. So it'd be 2 times 10 minus 2 times 2, parentheses, and then 8 minus 2 times 2. So you're putting 2 in for x in all the places. You're putting in for 3 places. So that's 2. And then that's 4 from the 10 would be 6. So that part that we fold up on it would be 6, and then the other part would be that's 4 from the 8 would be 4. So the answer is 2 times 6, which is 12 times 4, it's 48, and since it's inches, it'd be inches cubed, which indicates volume. Now when you're cutting out here, you're only allowed to cut halfway on the shortest side, because you can't cut all the way across, because you got to cut x out of this way and x this way. So you can only go to the middle on the shortest side of cutting, and so half of 8 is 4. So when we say in math, when we say in between, we do this notation. You put the small number on the left, you can go as high as 4, you put x in the middle, and then you have to do this kind of situation. So x is, if you read it this way, x is greater than or equal to 0, and x is less than 4. So that's that's the domain is trapped in it for this context of the problem. Now, if you graph this on the graphing calculator, you would want to type in this equation up here. So you go to y equals, you type that in, and then you want to go from 0 over to 4 for the window. So you hit the window key, and then since 2 gave me 48, you want to look as high as like maybe 75. And so what happens is you're going to get a graph that kind of looks like this. So if you go from 0 to 75 in the y direction and 0 to 4 in the x direction, and then you're looking for that relative maximum, that highest point there. And you do the left, right, and then guess, and that highest point turns out to be really close to 1.47, comma 52.51. So the first number is the x, that's the amount that you cut out. So if you cut out slightly less than 1.5 inches, you're going to get really close. And the maximum volume would be 52.51 cubic inches. So the way I wrote it on the answer key was if you have 52.51 inches cubed, it would be the maximum volume when you cut out the 1.47. All right, now we're going to put 2 in for x on the calculator. So it's going to be 3 times 2 to the 4th minus 18, 2 to the 3rd, plus 12 times 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 2. You type all that in the calculator, and you get an answer of negative 54. All right, for number 3, we want to make it not a polynomial. Polynomials have to have whole number exponents. Remember, whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, dot, dot, dot. Those are whole numbers. So we need to have something that's not a whole number. So you could put anything there. You could put a negative number, you could put a fraction, a decimal, or whatever. It could be anything. On the answer key, I put 0.5, which is definitely a decimal, or you could put the fraction 1/2. I'll try and make the box a little bit bigger on the real test. Okay, so now we have this situation here. The largest power is the degree, so that's 4, and then here it's 4, and then there it's 7. So that's the degree. The leading coefficient, I abbreviated LC because I didn't have enough room there. It's the number that goes with that. So there's a 3, and then there's an invisible 1 there, so it's a 1, and then the number that goes with that. So this 4 here tells me that there's 4 x to the 7s, not just 1 x to the 7th, but there's 4 of them. And then the constants are the ones at the back, and I made them all positive, 12, 1, and 9. The relative maximum is the highest point in a certain area, so that would be C. C is the relative maximum. B would be the relative minimum. D is just on the side where it's going down, and A is where it crosses the y-axis, so that'd be the y-intercept or the vertical intercept. In order to find the x-intercepts, you set each factor equal to 0. So I make myself a super T here, and I go 2x minus 5 is equal to 0, x minus 3 is equal to 0, and x plus 5 is equal to 0. So I solve each one of these 3 equations. Subtract 5, and I get x is equal to negative 5. Add 3, and get x is equal to 3. I need to add 5 and divide by 2. I get x is 5/2. So those are the 3 places where it crosses the x-axis. So you set each factor equal to 0. You're figuring out what x values make the function 0. So remember, there's 3 names for the x-intercepts. You can call them the x-intercepts, you can call them the zeros of the function, or you can call them the roots of the function. So of the function f of x, not f of t. So if you can name something 3 different ways in math, that makes it pretty doggone important. Okay, standard form. So the way I suggested doing this was covering this up here, multiplying these together first. So we do x times x, x squared, plus 6x, plus 1x, plus 6. So I just foiled that out. First, outside, inside, last. X squared plus 7x plus 6. So those are the inside terms there that add together. Then we're going to multiply by the x plus 3. There's no way to multiply 3 things together at once in math. So we multiply 2 things together, and then we multiply another thing. Now you can multiply any 2 you wanted. You can multiply these 2 together first. I chose to multiply these 2 together first, or you can multiply those 2 together first. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. Then I said to do the Christmas clam thing, right? So we do x times each one of those, and then we do 3 times each one of these. Get it all multiplied out. So x times this would be x cubed. X times this is 7x squared. X times that is 6x. Now 3 times everything is just tripling everything, so we get 3x squared, 21x, and 18. Then we put the squareds together. We get 10x squared. The x cubed doesn't have a partner. The x's go together, so it'd be 27x, and then the 18 doesn't have a partner, and that's what f of x is equal to. So there it is. This is the answer down here. That's standard form. Up here is factored form, and all of these steps. This is equal to this, which is equal to this, which is equal to this, which is equal to that in simplified form. All right, one thing that we know on number to multiply it all out, because if you look, if you take the first three things here and multiply them together, you get x cubed. If you take the numbers and multiply them together, you get the 18. Whoops, I was off the grid here. So if you take x times x times x, you get the x cubed. If you take 3 times 1 times 6, you get the 18. And that's your leading term and your 18, your constant. So if we go to number 10 real quick, you don't have to multiply this all out. It just asks for the degree. So that would be x squared times x times x. Well, that's 2x cubed. So the highest power is going to be cubed. The coefficient that goes with the highest power is the leading coefficient. That's 2. Then the numbers on the end, -5 times -3 is positive 15 times 5 is 75. So if you multiply this all out, you're going to have 2x cubed, blah, 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 a bunch of stuff, and then plus 75 at the end. And I didn't ask for all the middle junk. I just asked for what's the first term, or the highest power, and then the last term. You can tell that from just multiplying those couple of things together. Okay, now factoring. We make two sets of parentheses, and we know that x times x makes the x squared. And then we have to think about 27. Well, 27 is 1 and 27, which won't make 6, but 9 and 3 will. The 9 needs to be positive and the 3 needs to be negative, because 9 minus 3 is the 6. And we use the Officer Bell half donut trick to check that, right? So if I multiply these two together, I get 9x, and if I multiply these two together, I get negative 3x. Well, the negative 3 and the 9 make the positive 6 in the middle, so I know that I've done it correctly. All right, so then once you do that, you make the t. So solve by factoring is basically finding the x-intercepts. I could have said find the x-intercepts. It's the same thing. So x plus 9 is equal to 0, x minus 3 is equal to 0, minus 9, I get x equals negative 9. Add 3, x equals 3. All right, and the last question is x and x and x and x equals 0. And this one's a little bit tricky because it's 29 and 1, because 29 is a prime number. Well, that's okay, because 29 plus 1 makes the 30 in the middle. So I'm going to make my t now. That's how it factors. So x and x makes the x squared. 1 times 29 is the 29. And then 29x and 1x makes 30x in the middle. So I get, subtract 29, x equals negative 29. Subtract 1 on each side, x equals negative 1. All right, so hopefully this helped with your understanding of this. And I believe it's going to be a little choppy. There's an issue between my camera and my computer, so it may be a little choppy. Hopefully not. Bye-bye.